Hello, leaders, and welcome to Elevate. In Elevate, I want to spend my time talking with you about things that help you improve as a leader. So today, we're going to talk about hesitation and what hesitation is really all about. When you see hesitation as a leader, what you have a tendency to do is you stop and you look at confidence as the challenge. And confidence isn't necessarily the challenge. What actually governs hesitation in the body of your organization is how you make decisions and what safety is involved in the decision-making loop, what that process looks like. Because generally, when you make a decision, there's a 360-degree loop that should be occurring in the process. And I learned a lot about this the hard way by leading teams and when outcomes mattered and mistakes started to carry more weight. And to figure out what was going on. Why were we hesitating? Was it confidence in the fact that my team didn't know what they were doing? It actually turned out to be this topic that we're talking about today. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips. When you're making decisions, one of the things that you'll discover with your team is in the days when your organization was smaller, speed could occur. Speed worked when decisions were reversible because you were small enough that you could reverse and pivot quickly. Well, as your organization has grown, pivoting, that pivot is slow, right? It takes miles to turn a ship, a large ship in the ocean. A very similar thing inside of the body of an organization. When that happens, the uncertainty about how to make a decision and what that decision looks like starts to create drag on your team. And that's a clarity problem, not a confidence problem. Clarity is used to define the boundaries. What happens inside of the decision? What are you doing with that decision? Boundaries in turn create safety with your team. They know what they can decide and what they can't decide. When they come back to you for a decision and decision help, and when they don't need to come back to you for a decision help. Safety in that turn, because you created boundaries, you've got clarity. Safety in turn empowers ownership so that people feel accountable, they feel trusted, components of empowerment, and they can then own that decision. And then ownership in turn creates momentum. Momentum is the velocity of the organization. That's how fast you can move inside the body of your team. So when you're thinking about that pivot or that hinge that you want to swing, these steps become very important. Let me give you the 4 steps again. Step one is when you're creating a decision team, make sure that they have absolute clarity on the decisions. That helps them understand what the boundaries are and they know who can make the decisions. Boundaries then create safety. They know what they can decide on and to what level they can decide on. And then safety in turn empowers ownership. When it's safety and they are confident and they know that you have their back, proverbially, then they can feel free to own it. They as your team and your leaders in your organization. And then that in turn creates the velocity. When any of those links are broken, your decisions are going to fail. Decisions are going to float upward to you. And there's a tip. Go look inside of your calendar. Tell me how many meetings that you're having this week where it's going to be you who has to make the decision because everybody's waiting for you to call the ball. That's very important. So leaders, you can't push harder. You can't add more meetings. In order to enable your decision process, you need to do the 4 things that we just talked about. Is hesitation isn't hesitation. It's unsolved risks. When safety breaks on your team, leadership concentrates. So focus on those 4 things. That's the work beneath the work. That's the mindset. That's what helps you move to the next level. And that's how you elevate your organization as a leader. Like if you have any questions about any of these tips that I've just given you or how to implement them in the body of your organization, or just need help doing that, reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation. Thank you for watching Elevate, and I'll see you on next week's video.